All right, guys, it is another week with the Utah Utes Football Digest. We got a lot to dive into here. First off, Charlie Brewer is gone. Officially, Charlie Brewer has left the Utah Utes football program. He will no longer be there. Cam Rising is the starter. It's a new era. It's a new day. Really exciting things. A really bright future to be looking forward to. You know, you never want to see someone do poorly. But the truth is, when it came down to Charlie Brewer's final game there, we were looking at a 38 PFF grade before he got pulled. I mean, that's just miserable. That's like as bad as it gets. And the truth is, BYU didn't feel that much better than San Diego State for Charlie Brewer. Obviously, wish the guy the best. I mean, these are young kids we're talking about that have their futures ahead of them. I'm sure the guy's going to be successful in whatever he does. Hopefully he figures it out and becomes a star on some other football program. But we've got a lot to look forward to for the future with Cam Rising. The guy looked dynamic. The guy looked explosive. The guy led the offense to what, really almost amounted to the comeback of the week. I felt like it was going to be all over SportsCenter and just talked about all throughout college football if he would have made this happen. He didn't finish it, which kind of sucked, but overall, just so exciting about where this offense is heading. A couple injury things to go over let me see here. Okay, so Vianney Moala, he was the D tackle that got injured during the game. He is going to be out for the remainder of the season. That's a tough hit. He had a 74.4 PFF pass rush grade. That's really solid, so that is a big hit. We had Travis Broughton, who kind of played up and down so far this season. He is also going to be out for the remainder of the season. Kyle Whittingham issued both those statements, so sad to see them go. But we got to march on. We got to move forward. We have a new leader on this team, and we have a new identity to this offense. Let's hope we can go out there this week and really just light it up, guys. This would be so awesome if this is just a turn of the page. And, we still have the possibility of going 10-2 and playing in a really good bowl game. Obviously, it's a long road, and I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that is still where our ceiling is, guys. So be positive, and let's hope we can get back into game form and back up to what we saw in the Cam Rising part of the San Diego State game. So let's dive in. So we're going up against Washington State. Utah versus Washington State. It's a big game. There's a lot on the line. There is a lot on the line. So Utah is going to be at risk of going 1-5 if we don't pull off a win against Washington State. After Washington State, we're going to be playing USC and we're playing Arizona State. This is a must-win for Utah. Not only for momentum heading into those two tough games, but also it's a must-win for Utah just on the fact that we need to, have our record look decent. This could be a rough little stretch here if we don't pull it off against Washington State. The good news that Washington State, looking at their roster, should be the easiest game we've played by a significant amount compared to, San Diego State and BYU. So that's the good news. So let's go ahead and dive in and start breaking down the game, guys. So first off, the good groups. So for Utah, the groups that are still looking good are the linebackers. One great thing was they kept us in last week's game. When they tried to run the ball down our throat and just run that clock out, the linebackers did not let them. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but that was a great running game, great run blocking offensive line, and a really good running back. But we were able to shut them down or at least hold them to a point where they weren't able to just drain that clock on us. So that was a great performance by them. Another thing with those linebackers is Hayden Fury stepped up, number 54. The kid stepped up. He had a really solid PFF grade. I think it was like a 7. He's at like a 73 or something along those lines. But he looks really solid. So we got a really good core group with Fury, Sewell, and Lloyd. I mean, these guys are all top 100 linebackers in PFF. That's really awesome. That's the identity of our defense, is try not to make mistakes, put the game on these linebackers. Let them make the plays to change the game on defense. Cornerbacks, We have pretty solid cornerbacks. Now, this isn't fantastic, but I just think it's a solid overall group. Fabian Marks, number 23. Yeah, he had the PIs last week, and that was not fun to see. He's playing a little too physical when the ball's in the air, but he is grading at a 73, which is a solid corner and a guy that we can put on, even above average talented receivers manned up. We also have number 15 and number 4. They're both grading at a 66.7 and a 66.8. Obviously not high end, but I like that. We have some depth there at cornerback. We don't have any glaring weakness. We can play nickel. We can play 3 corners out there and make it not be a weakness to our team. So that's really awesome to see for us. Washington State's really good players coming out. Again, we got 2 beast edge rushers. Really good guys. We'll talk more about them later, but both guys are really great run defenders, and one is a really good pass rusher too. So obviously we're going to need to find a way to slow these 2 down, and we'll talk more about our dreadful offensive line. I mean, just awful. But we'll talk more about that later. But either way, no matter how bad this offensive line is, we need to find a way to stop these 2 edge rushers if we want to win this game. Their corners are really good as well. We got 1 really good corner, 1 pretty good corner, and 2 bad. So it's really similar to what we were dealing with against San Diego State, except San Diego State had 2 really good corners. So basically what we're going to want to do with these cornerback matchups, stay away from the 1 really good corner. We can, hit the one that's decent if we get a guy open, and really pick on the 2 guys that are bad corners. So hopefully we can work on that corner group that's real top heavy, high end, and try to hit the low end of that cornerback group. All right, the bad groups that we have for Utah are going to be our O-line. It is really bad. I'm sure you guys noticed watching last week that it was a joke. Yeah, Brewer sucked, but this line didn't help him. The reason Cam Rising looks so much better is he is comfortable making plays on the run, making plays outside of the pocket, and that's why he did so well, because this offensive line gives you no time to breathe. We have 3 starters that are grading at a 52 or lower PFF grade. 52 is glaringly bad. That it's not just the worst player in college football, but it's like a guy you're looking to replace immediately. Really struggling. That's what a 52 is. It's well below average. And we have 3 guys on our line at a 52 or lower. And, one of them's in the 40s. I think he's a 47 or a 49. Just a joke that we have 3 guys like that starting on this O-line. Hopefully, with Rising leading the charge and, showing them what good football looks like, they'll step up to the plate. Because the way that they're playing right now, there's just not much to say. I've been talking about it every week so far. It's a joke on this offensive line. We have, 1 real good offensive lineman in Braden Daniels. We have, I think it's 1 good tackle as well. But then the rest of them, and the tackle's not even great. I think he's a 66. But other than that, it's just a joke. I mean, we're talking bottom of college football offensive line. I would love to see where this offensive line ranks among college football. And I get it, man. These are young kids, and I'm not trying to make them feel bad. But the truth is, the Utah football program is not a joke of a football program. It's embarrassing that we are putting those guys out there as starters. Hopefully, there's offensive linemen out there that are being recruited for next year that, see that there's starting opportunities on Utah's line and find it an attractive landing place. But either way, for the game against Washington State, we need to find a way to make up for this O-line, whether that's having some running backs in there, chip blocking, just something. We need to find a way to slow down these edge rushers. Their defensive interior is not good, so that's a bonus for us. But we do need to slow down these edge rushers if we want to have a solid shot at winning this. Another bad position group for us is still wide receiver. Trust me, it's not something I get excited talking about. I think they took a step forward last week. Solomon Enos is starting to become a decent receiver. I believe he's at a 64, 66, somewhere around that grade, which isn't fantastic, but it's solid. and I think he's made his name known last week. I'm excited to see how he follows it up this week, see if he can become a leader. Britton Covey, as much as he was involved in it, still grading poorly at receiver. Hopefully he can take another step forward this week. He's awesome. I mean, he's a dynamic weapon for us, and I want to see the best from him, but he does need to play a little better at receiver. Overall, just a bad group at receiver, and hopefully we can step it up. Good news is Washington State has a terrible defensive interior. Nobody's grading over a 62 on that defensive interior, so hopefully this miserable offensive line can match up with them and, at least look presentable on Saturday. I mean, what a joke. But a bad defensive interior for Washington State. Also, a very gap-heavy offensive line, similar to ours. Their high end is a little higher than ours. They have like a 75 and a 72 on their O-line. And then they have a bunch of bad spots too, low 60s, 50s. So it's going to be an offensive line that we can take advantage of. So that's the good news. They do have some big weaknesses there. All right, now let's move into talking about the stars of this game. You guys know who I'm going to talk about first. Stars for Utah, Cam Rising. The one, the only, baby. On the rise, Cam Rising. Number 7 QB for Utah, 74.1 PFF grade right now. The guy was electric. I'm so excited to see what this offense looks like when they've had a whole week to game plan this quarterback in. I mean, we're talking real high-end ability here. Hopefully, he can present the same way of playing or the same productivity playing inside of structure. And what do I mean by that? So a lot of his plays last week were him rolling out, scrambling, making wild throws. That's fantastic. That is such a huge ability to have. That's one of the best abilities in college football. But he did seem a little erratic in the pockets at times, and I'm guessing that's why he was not the starter over Brewer. Hopefully he settles in a little and can make, quick, consistent throws, not just throwing it, skipping the dirt. I have all the faith in the world in the guy. That's just one thing I'm going to be watching on Saturday, and I would imagine you'll be watching too, just to, keep an eye, make sure he settles in a little, doesn't feel like he needs to make a 30-yard touchdown every play. But either way, so excited for Cam Rising. I really feel like he is the turning point for Utah and what's going to take this team back into, contention in the conference. It's awesome to see. Micah Bernard is the next star, number 2, 73.8 grade so far in the season, 228 rushing yards, 6.5 yards per carry, 1 touchdown, 90 receiving yards. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's got close to 350 yards total throughout 3 games. Obviously, last game was not the best game for him, but let's be real. That really is tough to put on him. That offensive line did him absolutely no favors. The guy's a star. I don't think we should be running it if our offensive line looks the same. Hopefully, against this weak interior, we can get some holes opened up for him. But just realistically, we need to find ways to get him involved, whether that's dump-offs, whether that's screenplays. Just do not be giving him tons of carries if this line looks as miserable as it has the past couple weeks. That's really the only thing. I mean, the guy's so explosive, and I want the ball in his hand as much as we can. I just don't want it to be like last week where we're running the ball into a line that's letting 2-3 free rushers in to hit our running backs every play. But either way, Micah Bernard's a beast. Let's get him as much as we can. Just do it, effectively and strategically. The next guy is Micah Tsufua. Honestly, after the BYU game, I was a little disappointed with him, a little frustrated, a little annoyed that he let Jaron Hall scramble so much. But the truth is, the guy's grading at an 80.9 right now. 9 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and 1 fumble recovery. He's a playmaker. I mean, he was a big weapon against San Diego State if you were watching that game. He was making plays in the run. He was making plays in the pass rush. Whether he was getting, a ton of sacks, he was getting a lot of hurries. He was getting back there. He was making plays. I really like the way this kid's looking. He's number 42, big-time playmaker for us. I'm excited to see him against this Washington State O-line. One of 2 things is going to happen. They're going to put the good guys on him, and hopefully he can win some of those matchups. Or 2, they won't put the good guys on him, and he can pick on these lower-end offensive linemen to get back there and make plays. So either way, he's going to be awesome for our D-line. They'll have to focus on him if they want to stop him. and that's going to open up opportunities for other guys. So hopefully some of these defensive interior, some of the other edge players step up to the plate and make it happen. All right, Vontae Davis, the safety. I brought him up last week, number 9. The guy's an animal, 80.9 PFF grade, 13 tackles on the season. He's coming in, he's making plays. He's a sure tackler. I really like what we're seeing. 80.9 grade. I mean, we're talking pretty high end when you're looking at an 80.9 grade. That they don't just give those out to anybody. And we got 2 of them. We got Micah Tsufua and Vontae Davis with 80.9 grades. So hopefully they can step up and help lead this defense. Just an honorable mention. I don't want to focus on them every week, but just all 3 linebackers, just animals, dude. They're monsters. Hopefully they can, this defense is so good. I really hope we step up to the plate today and show people what we're made of, or this weekend, and just show them what we're made of. I mean, yeah, we have a few weak spots, but if we can just, keep grinding, we could be such a mean defensive team, and it's going to come back on that offense to make plays and actually drive the ball, which I think we're going to see a lot this week. The final star I want to talk about for Utah is Brennan Covey. Bad receiving grade like we talked about, but he's hooking up well with Cam Rising. So once Cam Rising was in the game, it felt like we were seeing a different Brennan Covey. I think we could all agree with that. But either way, he's a big-time playmaker. He's explosive. He kept us in that game with that punt return touchdown he had. Like, other than that game might have been completely out of reach if it wasn't for him. So, really big-time player, a guy I want to see get more involved. That's going to be on Ludwig. I know his receiving grade isn't great, but we need to find strategic ways to get Brennan Covey involved. That's on the coaching. Find a way to use his explosive running ability in, screen plays. I can't believe how few screens we're running. It's like wide receiver screens. We just need to get the ball in his hands and make him do something with it. He's number 18. The guy's a beast. I know he's not killing it at receiver, but I would like to see him get more opportunities to make things happen. Again, on coaching. Don't want to repeat myself too many more times. Excuse me. So now let's talk about Washington State. So Washington State's stars on defense. First guy, Ron Stone Jr., number 10. He's a 77.3 grade. This is an edge rusher. 84.2 run defense grade and 64 pass rush grade. The guy's really good. This is one of the guys I was talking about. So obviously that 84.2 run defense grade, that's a scary high grade, especially with this offensive line looking as miserable as they do. This is a guy I would imagine, I wouldn't be surprised to see us put Braden Daniels and a tackle on him when it comes to run plays. Really try to hit him in the mouth and get him, out of the play. Just in general, if we don't address it and scheme around him a little, I could definitely see us having real struggles running the ball on Saturday. So hopefully that's not the case. On to the next guy, we got Brennan Jackson. He's number 80 on Washington State. 78.5 overall grade, a 75.4 run defense grade, and 76.9 pass rush grade. So this guy's a little more balanced, not as completely run defense focused, but a good run and a very good pass rush grade. I actually might even be more worried about this guy, just the fact that he can do both so effectively. I think we need to, keep an eye on these guys. It's going to be tough. I honestly don't envy Andy Ludwig right now. This offensive line is so terrible that I don't know how they're going to handle this, but that's not my job. I am not an offensive coordinator in a D1 college that plays in the Pac-12, right? That's your job, Ludwig. Make something happen. Find a way to scheme this offensive line. I can't believe how bad they're playing. I touched on it last week. We need to be serviceable. All right, and then on to the next star for Washington State, Max Borghi. He's number 21, 78.4 grade. That's high, guys. This is a playmaker we're talking about here. When you got a 78.4 running back, I think that's higher than what Greg Bell had, and you guys saw how good Greg Bell was. He has a bad receiving grade, but he's a great runner. Over 200 yards rushing on the season with 2 touchdowns. He's going to be important that we keep him wrapped up and don't let him grind us out. That's one of the things been happening to our defense. They give these good running backs carry after carry, and good O-lines beat up our D-line, and our offense isn't giving us putting up enough points to where our defense has to worry about the pass. They're just grinding us out with these run plays. So hopefully we can shut this guy down. He's going to be a big focus, though. All right, and then Amani Marsh. This guy is a corner. He's a 78.2 grade. Well-rounded guy. Solid coverage is 73. Very good run defense from him, which is kind of a highlight that his grade's so high, and so much of that has to do with the run defense, which, we don't want him laying out our running backs and making plays in the backfield. But just in general, it means he's not elite when it comes to coverage. Very good. A 73 grade is very good, but he's not elite. Like, we could still get passes off on whoever this guy's covering. So hopefully we try to take advantage of that. But he is one of their stars. A 78.2 grade is fantastic, so we need to lock him up in the run blocking. All right, and then Calvin Jackson Jr., he's their receiver. He is also number 8. He's got 262 yards in the season, averaging 14.6 yards per catch and 1 touchdown. 72.6 grade for this guy. Think about that. This guy's a pretty big playmaker for this offense. So we're talking about a 262 yards through 3 games. I mean, that's a guy that's averaging almost 90 yards a game. And the 14.6 average means he's not catching dump-offs constantly for 5 yards. This guy's actually, making pretty big receptions when he catches the ball. So we need to make sure we lock him down. I would love marks on him. Really try to kind of take him out of this game and let our linebackers and D-line focus on this run game. But either way, just letting you guys know who their stars are. It's going to be on Ludwig and Scally to find a way to slow this team down. Either way, overall, I love our talent versus theirs. I think overall we're a more talented team. I'd say our team's like a C+ right now, and they're more like a C-. So hopefully we can take advantage of those matchups. I think our stars are better than their stars. I mean, the numbers tell it. And especially on defense, I don't think they should be able to easily move the ball on us with that offensive line. All right, and now let's talk about the keys of the game. First, Rising has to rise to the occasion, right? He needs to step up. He needs to make it happen. This is his shot. One of the great things is Rising's a redshirt sophomore. That means he's still pretty young. Yeah, we could lose him to the NFL, but I don't know if he's playing at that level where we have to worry about him going to the NFL anytime soon. I think we have a great opportunity here to have a guy that kills it for the rest of this year and goes into next season as just a bona fide starter and just gives us such a good vibe heading into next year. Either way, though, I think he just needs to rise to the occasion. I touched on it earlier. He needs to be methodical. He needs to be able to get these 10, 12 play drives. It can't be, big play or bust. That's not how a good offense works. That just puts too much pressure on your defense. So I'm excited to see him this week. I think he's going to be capable of it. But, I don't want to get my hopes up because I had a lot of hopes about Brewer after week 1. So we'll see. Obviously, I'm wishing the best. Our offensive line also needs to play significantly better. Literally, they would have to take a big leap just to be playing average, which is not fun to say, but it's just the truth. If they don't take a big step forward, it's going to hurt our team big time. It's really bad play right now. Bernard needs to be involved. I talked about it earlier. He needs to be schemed into the game. Ludwig needs to find ways to get the ball in his hand, give him open space, give him these one-on-one matchups. Also, the tight ends or the wide receivers need to step up. I love the way that Rising was hooking up with the wide receivers this past week. Little concerning that he wasn't as hooking up with the tight ends as well as Brewer had previously. Obviously, overall, he's playing so much better than Brewer, but I would love to see our tight ends get a little more involved just because they have been pretty big playmakers and look really solid. So hopefully we can get the ball in their hands a little more this week and use Rising's, especially a guy that likes to scramble. When he's rolling out a nice big target like a tight end, if they can get open, a great outlet to throw to. And then with defense, I think I touched on it earlier. We need to be sound. We need to hit our assignments. I think we have the talent. We went through our whole defense. We have such a good just little core there. Vontae Davis, Devin Lloyd, Micah Tsufua, Hayden Fury, and Penei Sewell. Just a squad of guys. I really hope we just stay sound. Our offense does not make the defense win the entire game, every play for us. It's not fair. It's not going to work. That's what we need. We need a balanced attack. We need offense and defense. I'm telling you, once this offense starts moving and this defense doesn't feel gassed out and attacked all game, you're going to see these playmakers actually start to make plays. Because the offenses we play are going to be forced to throw or run based on what they're seeing. And we're going to be able to attack that. Like once our offense, like when you're playing 21-10 or 21-7 and your team's up, your defense gets to pin their ears back and go hit the quarterback a little more. That's when you start seeing stars make plays. And that's what our offense needs to do. Our offense needs to give us opportunities to let the defense make plays. But hey, so that's kind of the recap here, guys. I feel really good about this week. It is a must win. But either way, I'm so excited about this week. This should be a coming out party for Cam Rising. This should be a coming out party for the Utes. And I couldn't be more excited, guys. Go Utes. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, I'm loving this. I love all the feedback. This has been so much fun so far. And I can't wait to see where Cam Rising takes us, guys. Hey, we'll go Utes again, and have a good weekend, guys. Bye.